Hello. I thought it would be a good idea on a Sunday to have a little bit of Priti Patel. It's so difficult to get through the week without Priti Patel, Liz Smith, Nadine Dorries, Gove, Rav, and so on. So here's my Priti Patel for the week. So the other day, if you remember, there was that Boeing 767 standing on the runway of RAF Boscombe Down in Wiltshire. You can imagine it, going nowhere. £300,000 apparently for that, but figures differ. Some newspapers have actually said that it cost up to £500,000. I suspect the figure is significantly higher for the whole operation. Now, 3 hours before that plane was due to take off, the European Court of Human Rights issued a diktat and said that it wasn't possible under Rule 39. Now, Priti Patel is extremely aggrieved by this. She says it's not transparent. She also said it's opaque. I don't see how something can be. Oh, actually, I suppose it could be opaque and not transparent. There we are. Motivation, she says. The motivation of the European Court of Human Rights is political. These judges are anonymous. She doesn't know who they are. If she did know who they are, would it matter? Anyway, on the 15th of June, Boris announced that there were plans to leave the European Court of Human Rights. We will do whatever it takes. We've heard that line before. We will do whatever it takes. Generally, it means to do very little. But in this case, the government has said that it will consider further legal reforms. Now, I'm talking as somebody who's taken a case through the European Court of Human Rights. It was a torture case, and it was really quite effective. It took 11 years. One has to wait. It's very rare, I think, that the European Court of Human Rights acts so quickly as it did to frustrate Priti Patel. But Priti Patel is determined, she says, to do the right thing, and she's not going to be put off by the inevitable legal last-minute challenges. If they were inevitable, then why is she surprised and dismayed by them? I don't understand her choice of language there. She also says that she's not going to allow mobs to block removals. Well, you know, we're in a democracy. We must allow people to protest. And as I pointed out the other day, the word protest means to shout. So it is impossible, it is an oxymoron to have a quiet protest, as Priti Patel plans. Anyway, she is going to find ways to overturn the situation. I don't know quite what that means, and speed up the process of asylum claims. Well, I do know what that means. That means, presumably, that she's now going to invest in employing more people in the Home Office to do the work that the Home Office should be doing, rather than giving money to France, rather than giving money to Rwanda. And of course, both France and Rwanda, I'm sure, would appreciate the gift of extra money. But our first priority must be to employ people to do the jobs that we have undertaken to do, to fulfill our responsibility on the international stage. Now, quite interestingly, at about this stage, Priti Patel deflects. She draws attention to something quite different, and she says that the people who are criticising her plan to send people to Rwanda are also insulting Rwanda. She then talks about the history that Rwanda has had of genocide, corruption and human rights, just in case we're in any doubt where a lot of the target of the protests are going, or where she wants the target to be directed. And she says, what if we were not sending people to Rwanda? What if we were sending them to Sweden, New York, or Sydney? Would that change the critics' mind? Would that get the critics to change their mind? She assumes it would, and she then speaks of their prejudice and racism. In this particular case, in my case, it would not remotely change my point of view. My objection to the Rwanda policy is an objection about our responsibility. We cannot export our responsibility. That responsibility is etched into international agreements that we have made to honour people who arrive at our shores and ask for asylum. The only way to deal with this is to employ more people in the Home Office if we cannot process the applications in time. All the rest is very questionable theatre. And if there is any prejudice, it's to be found in the people who are leading the Home Office, not in those like me who are criticising this policy.